Hello and welcome to our session. In this session, we are discussing the structural organization in animals. We know that all animals are multicellular. They are made up of larger number of cells, and these cells are organized to higher categories like tissues, organs, and organ systems. And it is the level of organization that is taken as number one criteria in classification of animals. So, what is the nature of the body of animals? Remember, all animals are having larger number of cells which are all organized. Only in porifera, the cells are remaining without organization into an organized group. Instead, cells are working independently. So the body is just a loose cluster of cells. It is just an aggregate of cells, loose aggregate of cells. That is seen only in sponges, porifera. Whereas in all others, the cells are organized to tissues. What is a tissue? Tissue is an organized group of identical cells. It is a group of identical cells, similar cells, which are organized to perform a common function. They are all organized. They are not working independently. Instead, their function is organized and are performing a common function. Such a organized group of cells will be packed, will be remaining in a matrix, that is intercellular substance. So the cells as well as intercellular substances are together constituting what is called a tissue. And we are having four basic types of tissues. These four types of tissues are organized to perform specific functions. They are having special properties and are organizing themselves to form higher levels called organs and organ systems. So, tissues are not the ultimate level of organization. Tissues are still organized to organs and organ systems. Anyhow, the tissues are the basic organized group of cells, and they will be again organized to form organs like stomach, lung, heart, and kidney. And when tissues are organized, different types of tissues are organized to perform a common function, we call it as organ. So, we are having tissues formed with the organization of cells. Okay. Now, these tissues will be organizing to form organs, and organs are again organized to form organ systems. So, this is the increasing level of complexity. For example, we are having digestive system, circulatory system, reproductive system, excretory system, in which so many organs are organized to perform a common function. So, this is how the body of an animal is made of. That is the organization of an animal. Clear? So, in brief, animals are having large number of cells which are all organized to tissues. In some, only tissue will be there. For example, in Cyrindраtes, Ctenophora, in their body you are having only tissues. They are not organized to higher level. Whereas in others, they are organized to higher levels called either organs or organ systems. Coming to the animal tissues. Each tissue will be having a specific function to perform, and accordingly the structure will be also varying. The structure of a tissue depends upon the function they perform. Therefore, the tissues are different because their function are different, the structures are also different, and are broadly classified into 4 categories. What are these 4 categories? Namely, epithelial tissue. What is an epithelial tissue? Epithelium. Epi means outer. Thelium means layer. So, it is the outermost layer of what? Outermost layer of an organ. Outermost layer present in an animal. Okay. So, their main function is covering and protecting. Sometimes it may be lining cavities of the spaces. For example, you are having coelom or blood vessels which are having cavities inside. These cavities are lined by epithelial cells. So they will be lining. Sometimes they may be secreting something, then we call it as glandular. So covering, protecting, lining and secretion are the important functions of epithelial tissue. Okay. What is the characteristic feature? If they are to cover and protect internal structures, then they should have a structure suitable for that function. Here, the cells are compactly arranged. The cells are compactly arranged. There is no much space between the cells. That is the meaning. They are tightly packed. So that the intercellular matrix, this is the matrix, is very small or negligible. This matrix that is present in between is very small in quantity, negligible. Okay. Matrix is very little. They are resting on a membrane called basement membrane. These cells are resting in a membrane called basement membrane, and it is to this basement membrane that blood supply is coming. There is no direct supply for epithelial cells from the basement membrane. Nutrients, oxygen, etc. are taken by the epithelial cells. Do you understand? Cells are compactly arranged. Matrix is negligible, resting on a basement membrane. So, one surface is attached to the basement membrane and the other surface is free. And in this free surface, they may be having some modifications to which will be going on. Okay, in detail. Simple epithelium and compound epithelium are the 2 types of epithelia. We are classifying this epithelium into 2 headings, namely simple. What is simple? Simple means which is made up of a single layer. A single layer. Cells are arranged in a single layer. A single layer. The second category is stratified. Stratified is also called compound. Here, the cells are arranged in more than one layer. Okay. This single epithelium is again divided into 3 types. 1. Squamous epithelium. What is squamous? the cells are thin, flat, and tile-like. See, we use tiles to cover our walls, to cover our floor. Just like that, these thin, flat structures are used for making a pavement epithelium, a covering layer. And since they are all very thin, they will allow exchange of materials through them. These cells are thin, flat, tile-like with irregular corners, and they will be having very little gap in between. They allow exchange of materials. So, these epithelia are seen in areas where exchange of materials are taking place. For example, in the alveoli of the lung, exchange of gases are taking place. Okay. Similarly, in the capillaries, in the glomerulus, we are having capillaries. So, wherever you are having capillaries, exchange of material between the blood and the lymph is taking place, and there you are having thin, flat, squamous epithelium. 2. Cuboidal. Here, the cells are not thin and flat, but they are all as thick as they are all broad. So, they are all thick cells, cuboidal cells, cubical shape. And so, since they are all thick, they cannot allow the exchange of materials through them. So, what is their main function? They are all seen in areas which are all concerned with secretion and absorption. For example, you have the PCT, proximal convoluted tubule of the nephron, distal convoluted tubule of the nephron, which are all having cuboidal epithelium. Cuboidal epithelium. Third one, columnar. Here, the cells are tall and cylindrical, slender. That is why they are called column. They are slender and columnar cells with a basal nucleus. Nucleus is at the base. They also are concerned with secretion and absorption. And our entire alimentary canal is lined by columnar epithelium, tall columnar epithelium. They are concerned with absorption and secretion. So, based upon the shape of the cell, simple epithelium is classified into these three. Among these three, the cuboidal and columnar may have some modifications. So, for example, on their free surface, they may have sometimes small hair-like structures which are called cilia. Now, these cells which are ciliated will be helping in the movement of something towards one direction. The coordinated action of the cilia will be helping in pushing something towards one direction. That is why their cilia are present. This ciliated cuboidal epithelium are present in our respiratory tract, bronchioles, bronchi. We are having ciliated. Also, sometimes columnar epithelium may be having cilia, then it is called columnar ciliated and columnar, which is present in the fallopian tube of the female reproductive system. So, we are having either ciliated columnar or ciliated cuboid. Instead, sometimes the free surface may be having small villi-like structures. Small villus-like structures. Villi plural. See, these cells on their free surface will be having a number of finger-like projections. So that will be giving the appearance of a brush. And there are lining some cavities, so will be called brush-bordered epithelium. Microvilli are providing a brush-bordered epithelium. What is the function of this? They will be increasing the surface area. Since the surface area is increased, absorption and secretion can be made very rapidly. They are called brush-bordered epithelium. Brush-bordered epithelium. In the hollow organ like bronchioles, you are having ciliated cuboidal epithelium. In fallopian tube, ciliated columnar epithelium. And sometimes you may be having brush-bordered epithelium. As I told you, brush-bordered cuboidal epithelium is seen in PCT and DCT of nephrons. Proximal and distal convoluted tubules of the nephron of kidneys. And brush-bordered columnar epithelium is present in our intestine, small intestine especially, small intestine. Okay. Now, some of the columnar or cuboidal cells become specialized for secretion. Then they are called glandular. They secrete something. If they produce something, then they are called glandular epithelium. These glandular epithelium are of two types. What are they? They are simple, unicellular, made up of a single cell. They continuously produce mucus, a slimy secretion. So, single, that is called isolated. Isolated means single glandular cells called goblet cells of the alimentary canal, or it may be multicellular, which is made up of a large number of cells, cluster of cells, like the salivary glands. Okay. Now, how these secretions are coming out of the cell? Based upon that, we are classifying them into exocrine and endocrine. Exo means outer. They are crinos means secretion. They are secreting their secretions to the outside. They are brought to outside through their own ducts. So they are called ducted glands. Your salivary glands, pancreas are ducted glands, exocrine. And those which are having no ducts, their secretions are poured to the blood. Inside the gland itself, they are all poured into the blood. And blood is taking them to different parts of the body. Then they are called endocrine. Examples for exocrine glands are the saliva, mucus, earwax, oil, milk, digestive enzymes, and other cell products. Whereas endocrines, they are having no ducts, so they are called ductless glands. Their secretions called hormones, which are all carried through blood to different parts of the body, which are bringing about our chemical coordination and control of the body. Okay. So, all cells of our body are remaining bathed in that blood. So, secretions of these endocrine glands can reach any cell of our body. So that's about the simple epithelium. Okay. So unicellular, multicellular. We have compound epithelium. What is compound epithelium? Where you are having more than one layer. So you will be having a basement membrane, In that basement membrane, you are having the epithelial cells remaining, and these epithelial cells will produce many layers, and only the layer which is directly in contact with the basement membrane will be getting that nourishment, and other cells are getting nourishment from the base cells. Okay. Now, these compound epithelium are mainly concerned with protection. They give mechanical protection and protection from chemicals. That is the main function. No absorption, secretion are possible with the help of such stratified compound epithelium. Instead, this epithelium is mainly concerned with covering, protecting against mechanical and chemical stresses. They are of two types. Compound epithelium are of two types. One, cornified, that is keratinized. As the cells are multiplying at the basal region, the outer cells are moving and they gradually become filled with a hard protein called keratin, and this keratin will be a hard impermeable substance that will not allow entry of any material through them. So, this keratinized are acting as an entry barrier. They are present in our skin. That is why we are having a protection. Water from our body is not directly lost because of the presence of such a keratinized layer. So, keratin is a hard, impermeable material, and if the cells become filled with this keratin, it is called keratinized or hornified. Our nail, hair, horn of animals, hoof of animals, etc. are cornified tissues, dead cells. Cells become dead and become filled with the keratin. Whereas other cells are non-keratinized or non-cornified. Non-keratinized. There are remaining as multiple layers, but they are not keratinized. Such non-keratinized epithelia are present in the inner side of our buccal cavity. These cells provide protection against chemical and mechanical stress. They cover the dry surface of the skin, that is keratinized. The moist surface of the buccal cavity, pharynx, etc., non-keratinized. Inner lining of the duct of salivary glands and of pancreatic duct. Now, how this cell in an epithelium is remaining in position. The cells are held together by having some special features at the region where they come in contact with the neighboring cells, that is on the lateral sides. There are some modifications on the lateral sides, lateral membrane of epithelial cells. That's why they are all remaining in that position. And they also provide some other additional functions. We are having 3 modifications. These modifications are called junctions. For example, tight junction. What is a tight junction? A tight junction is a region where the two plasma membranes of neighboring cells are coming close together so that there is no intercellular space or matrix there. So what is the advantage? No leaking of materials will take place. Otherwise, through this gap, liquid part can cross from this layer to this. So across a cell layer, materials will be transported through the tiny gap in between the epithelial cells. But tight junctions will prevent the leaking of materials and transporting of materials across a cell layer. This is a cell layer. From this side to this side or from this side to this side. Nothing is transported. That's called tight junction. Okay. Second one is othering junction. What is othering junction? At the point of contact between adjacent cells, there may be some cementing material that will be helping in keeping the cells more attached. Othering attachment. This attachment will be keeping the cells in position, attaching them, othering them together, cementing them together. And the third junction is in the form of tiny tubes connecting adjacent cells. Small ultramicroscopic tubular structures. These tubular structures will allow the passage of ions between neighboring cells. Very small molecules between neighboring cells. Thus, they will be helping in what is called the intercellular communication. Intercellular communication is possible because of this one. So, tight junction, othering junction, gap junctions. Okay. These are the three modifications present in the epithelia on the lateral sides. Now we pass on to the second type of tissue, namely connective tissue. Remember, epithelial tissue will be covering all organs. Organs are developing from either ectoderm, endoderm or mesoderm. From these three germ layers, an organ may be formed and that organ is covered by an epithelium. That means epithelium can be formed from any of these three. If an organ is developed from mesoderm, its epithelium is from mesoderm. If an organ is having a cavity developing from ectoderm, that is lined by ectoderm. So, epithelium can be formed from any of the three germ layers, whereas connective tissue is developing only from mesoderm. It is one of the most abundant type of tissue widely distributed in the body. Most abundant and widely distributed tissue in the body. Okay. This is characterized by, see, what is the main function of this tissue? Connective tissue. Connecting, binding. It fills the gap between other tissues. It will be giving the size and shape to the organs. It is giving strength, mechanical support. So, epithelial tissue was covering on the outer, whereas connective tissue is connecting, so linking and supporting other tissues. They may be very soft or they may be very rigid, specialized tissues. Okay. Now, a connective tissue will be having cells loosely arranged, scattered. So, matrix is abundant. Matrix abundant. And in that abundant matrix, you are having the cells of the epithelium scattered. That is the characteristic feature of connective tissue. Now, connective tissues are classified into two, namely loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue. And a third one is specialized connective tissue. They are having special function and special structure. So we can say that in total we are having three types of connective tissues. What is a loose connective tissue? Here the cells are loosely arranged. So matrix is abundant. What is this matrix? Matrix is modified polysaccharide, and this is the material that accumulates in the intercellular space, and this acts as the ground substance. So matrix is the ground substance made up of polysaccharides. In that matrix you have fibers giving strength to the tissue. In loose connective tissue, as the name itself gives you the idea, the connective tissue matrix is a semi-fluid substance in which cells and fibers are arranged loosely. A classical example for this one is areolar tissue, a loose connective tissue, which is the typical packing tissue. Here you can see different types of cells. You are having mast cells. These mast cells are cells that will be producing histamines. You also have macrophagic cells, amoeboid cells, which can produce pseudopody and eat, take, digest. That is why it is called macrophagic solid materials. Then the most important type of cell is fibroblast. They are producing the fibers, and these fibers are of two types. Okay. One. Sometimes you may be having bundles of white fibers. They are made up of a protein called collagen, so it's called collagen fibers. Collagen fibers are unbranched and occurring in bundles. Whereas the second type of fibers are yellow in color, made up of another protein called elastin protein, and so it's called elastic fibers. They are highly branched and elastic in nature, yellowish in color. So two types of fibers are also present. And the fourth type of cells are the fat storing adipocytes. These cells are having a large cavity inside them. So the nucleus is shifted to one end. In this cavity, the fat is stored. Their main function is storage of fat. These adipose cells are seen abundantly in cells whose function is called, or whose function is storing of fat. Such tissues are called adipocytes. Tissues are called adipose tissue. Okay. So, what are the four types of cells? Mast cells, macrophagic cells, adipocytes, and fibroblasts. Two types of fibers, collagen fibers and elastin fibers. Okay. That is the nature of a loose connective tissue. There are two types of loose connective tissue, namely areolar tissue and adipose tissue. So, connective tissues are of three types. Loose connective tissue. Okay. They are of two types, namely areolar and adipose. What is the function of areolar? Packing. What is the function of adipose? Storing of fat. Both are present beneath our skin. Now we go to dense connective tissue. Here, the fibroblast cells and fibers are densely packed, compactly, densely packed. And there are two types of such dense tissues, namely dense regular and dense irregular. What is dense regular? In dense regular, fiber and fibroblasts are oriented in the same direction. You have so many layers of fibroblast and fibers. See, fibroblast and fibers arranged in the same direction. Whereas in irregular, you are having the fibroblast and fibers arranged in different or oriented in different directions. Typical example for dense regular is tendon and ligaments. Tendons are structures that connect muscles to the bones, whereas ligaments are connecting a bone with another bone. Both tendon and ligaments are example for dense regular. In irregular, there is no such orientation. They will be oriented in different directions, and this type of tissue is present beneath our skin. So, second type. Then coming to the third type, specialized. There are specialized connective tissue because the structure is unique. And why they are having a unique structure? Because they are performing a special function. They are mainly responsible for giving rigidity to the body. We are having specialized connective tissues of three types. One, cartilage. What is a cartilage? Cartilage is a soft bone-like tissue. And in cartilage in a species, the entire endoskeleton is made up of cartilages. In our body also, we are having cartilages. For example, at the tip of the nose, the pinna, they are all made up of cartilages, soft. Okay. So, what is a cartilage? Cartilage is having a matrix where we are having matrix arranged in concentric rings called lamella, and this matrix is pliable. Though it is strong, it is pliable. It resists compression. Why? Because it contains, this matrix contains a special protein called chondrine and salts called chondroitin sulfate. Chondroitin sulfate. Within the lamellae, that is the concentrically arranged layers of matrix, you are having some fluid-filled spaces. These fluid-filled spaces are called lacunae. Within that lacuna, you have cells, two or more cells called chondrocytes are present. That is the structure of a cartilage. So, cartilage will be present in certain specialized parts of our body. The cells of the cartilage are called chondrocytes. They are enclosed in small cavities called lacuna within the matrix, which is secreting the matrix. Most of the cartilages in vertebrates, embryo are replaced by bones in adults. So, cartilage is present in the tip of the nose, outer ear joints between adjacent bones of vertebral column, limb and hands in adults. Whereas bones are harder It is non-pliable, strong. Why the bones are hard and non-pliable? Because their matrix is having abundant of fibers and calcium salts. What calcium salts? Calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate. That is why the bones are hard. It is the main tissue that provides mechanical support, rigidity to our body. It gives structural framework to our body. They support and protect the soft tissues and other organs. So, for example, brain is protected within the cranium, which is the skull box. So, it is protecting. Bones support and protect softer tissues. Bone cells are present in spaces called lacunae, just like the cartilage. Here also you are having lacunae, and within that lacunae you have a single large osteocyte. Osteocyte is the name of the cell that forms bones. Only one osteocyte will be present within each lacunae. Limb bones, such as the long bones of the leg, serve weight-bearing functions also. And muscles are attached to the bones and their movement will be controlled by the nervous system and they bring about the movements and locomotion. Okay. Bone marrow in some bones are the site where our RBCs are produced. We are having what is called red bone marrow in some of the bones, not in all bones. They produce the RBCs. These are the functions of bones. Then blood is the third specialized tissue. The bones are having calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate of the salts plus fibers that makes the matrix very strong, and the cells are called osteocyte. Okay. Now coming to the blood. Blood is the only liquid or fluid tissue in our body. Why blood is fluid? Because this blood is having a fluid matrix. That fluid matrix is called plasma. Plasma is the matrix which is fluid. In that fluid plasma, you are having corpuscles. Blood cells are called corpuscles. So we are having blood having matrix in which cells are remaining floating. Since plasma is a fluid, the blood can flow, and it is because of this property that blood can act as the main transporting agent of our body. It is transporting different materials from one part to another part. Okay. Blood is also concerned with protecting your body from the attack of pathogens, and blood is also responsible for the removal of waste material from tissues and dumping them to the excretory organs. And blood is having another important property. It never produces fibers. No fibers at all. There is no collagen fibers, no elastin fibers. It is the only connective tissue which is never producing, secreting any fibers. Is that clear? So we are having blood, which is a connective tissue containing plasma and cells. Cells are of three types: RBC, WBC, and platelets. It is the main circulatory fluid that helps with the transportation. Okay, so that's about the connective tissues. Connective tissues are developing from mesoderm. Coming to the muscles. Muscles are also developing from mesoderm. Muscular tissue are highly specialized to perform the function of contraction. They have the ability to reduce their size, and to perform that function, they are having specialized structures. Muscle cells are long and cylindrical sometimes. Anyhow, they are all elongated structures, so are called muscle fibers. Okay, these fibers are composed of numerous fibrils called myofibrils. When we activate a muscle fiber become stimulated, and in response to that, they will shorten their length. That is called contraction. And then they will come back. That is called relaxation. Okay. It is their action that is bringing about changes in our position, and also different types of movements, and also our locomotion. Okay. So they play an important role in all types of movements in our body. Based upon the position, these muscles can be classified into skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, cardiac muscles. Skeletal muscle, why they are called so? Because they are attached to the bones. And it is these skeletal muscles which are all responsible for locomotion. Skeletal muscles are consisting of fibers which are all bundled together in a parallel fashion. And a sheath of tough connective tissue will be covering around a number of such bundles. That is how skeletal muscles are arranged. Skeletal muscles are voluntary. They are also called striated. Why it is called striated? Because you are having alternate dark and white appearances if you observe them under microscope. That's why they are called striated. Smooth muscles are having spindle-shaped body or fusiform body, and they don't show striations. Since striations are absent, they are called non-striated muscles. And it is the cell junction that hold them together and are bundled together in a connective tissue sheath. So the packing is slightly different. They are present within the walls of the internal organs, visceral organs, so are called visceral muscles. Just like on the walls of the blood vessels, intestine, etc., they are all present. They are not under our will. They are all involuntary because they cannot be worked as per our will. That is the meaning. We cannot make them contract by just willing, just by wishing. Let them contract. It will never contract. Third and the last type are cardiac muscles. Why they are called cardiac muscles? Because they are present only on the walls of the heart. These muscles are present only on the walls of the heart, and they are having some unique features. One, these fibers are branched, and the branches of adjacent muscle fibers are connected together. Thus, they will form a network. Okay. And at the point of contact, there may be some fusion of plasma membrane that makes them stick together. These structures, which are called intercalated discs, which are helping in easy transmission of signals, they act as communication junctions. They will be the point where fusion of plasma membrane had occurred and allow the cells to contract as a unit, because signal will be passing through them very quickly. Such structures are called intercalated disc. They are also having striated appearance, just like a skeletal muscle. But in skeletal muscle, there is no cell partition. The cells are having no septum. It is non-septate, or it is a syncytium. Striated muscles are syncytium. Whereas here it is uninucleated. So in that respect, it is similar to that of the visceral muscle. Visceral muscles are also uninucleated. Each cell is having its own nucleus, but here there is no such a feature. Okay, so this is striped, just like a striated muscle. It is uninucleated, just like a unstriped or smooth muscle. And at the same time, it is having some unique features like branching nature and junction between adjacent cells where they are fusing to form, which is called intercalated disc. Now, another feature is that cardiac muscles are also involuntary. So, only skeletal muscles are voluntary. These two muscles are involuntary. Clear? Now, coming to the last type of tissue, namely the neural tissue. Neural tissues are developing from ectoderm. They are all developed very well in advanced types of organisms, and they are responsible for control and coordination, and also for understanding our surroundings. Okay, so we are all capable of understanding what is happening in our surroundings and capable of responding to that because of the nervous tissue. Neurons are the unit of nervous system, and they are also excitable. When a signal comes, they become active. That's what is called excitable. They are made up of two types of cells, neurons and glia cells. Neurons are excitable ones. Neurons are excitable. Okay, whereas glia means glue. They are non-excitable. Even if a stimulus is applied, no response will be there. Neuroglia make up more than 1/2 of the volume of the neural tissue. So, neuron is excitable. When it is suitably stimulated, an electrical disturbance is generated. That is called impulse. That impulse is traveling very quickly along the plasma membrane. It is passing very quickly along the plasma membrane, and arrival of the disturbance at the neural ending or output zone trigger events that may cause either its conduction or its suppression at that junction. That junction is called synapse. If it is passing through that synapse, it is called excitatory synapse, or if it is inhibited, it is called inhibitory synapse. So, it may occur if the signal is reaching the synapse. Glia cells, though it is making up more than half, are not excitable. They are helping the neurons in their function. That's all. Okay. So, that is the basis of the organization of animal body. So, we are having basically 4 types of tissues. Is that clear? Now, we pass on to higher organizations. These 4 different types of tissues are again organized to form either organs or organ systems. Each organ in our body is made up of 2 or more types of tissues. For example, our heart consists of 4 types of tissues: epithelial, connective, muscular, and neural. So, we are having 2 or more tissues going up for making an organ. Similarly, a number of organs will be organizing and will be coordinated their function to perform a special function called an organ system. That's why we are having different organ systems. There are 10 major organ systems in an advanced animal like a chordate. Okay. And the study of these organs and organ systems are called anatomy. Study of morphology of internal organs in animals. How these organs are made, what is their nature, etc. We are studying under anatomy. Okay. And now we will be studying one example as a typical representative of these animals. What is that? It is cockroach. We need not discuss earthworm and frog. We will be discussing only cockroach. Cockroach is an arthropod. Phylum Arthropoda. Class Insecta. Order Diptera. Order Orthoptera. Coming under Arthropoda are the insects which are the largest group, and cockroach is a typical insect. Okay. It is having different colors. Usually there will be yellow, red or green colored cockroaches found all over the world. It is a cosmopolitan, present in every part of the world, and it is actually a household pest, a serious pest, because it is acting as vector for several diseases. A cockroach will be having three parts in their body: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. And arthropods are all having segmentation. The body is segmented. You are having head, thorax, and abdomen. And each of these segments or these parts are again divided into a fixed number of segments. Actually, the head is made up of 6. It is made up of 6 segments, but you cannot see them separately because they are all completely fused. And they are covered by a chitinous exoskeletal plate. And that exoskeletal plate is also divided into pieces. Chitinous exoskeletal plate is called sclerite. The sclerite on the dorsal side are called tergite, and those on the ventral side is called sternite. The tergites of the dorsal side and sternites on the ventral side are joined each other by a thin and flexible membrane called arthrodial membrane. There is a membrane called arthrodial membrane. Now, the thorax is made up of 3 segments, which we can see clearly. Here in thorax, we are having 3 segments. Abdomen made up of 10 segments. So total 19 segments are present in the body of cockroach. Now let us go to the details of that. Okay. Head is a triangle shaped structure which is held at right angle to the long axis of the body. At the tip of the triangle shaped head, you are having the mouth. In head, no segmentation is seen. It is just formed of 6 segments and all the plates are completely fused to form a capsule-like structure. At the lower end, you are having the mouth parts surrounding the mouth. What are mouth parts? Chitinous structures which are helping in feeding. They are called mouth parts. The mouth parts are of chewing and biting type. This mouth part consists of an upper labrum, which is acting as the upper lip, a lower lip, labium, forming the upper and lower boundaries, and on either side, an irregular chitinous hard teeth-like structure containing mandibles are there. Mandibles are hard and tooth structures which are helping in tearing food materials, and a pair of maxilla. These maxilla are helping in pushing the food into the mouth. Both maxilla and labium are having long sensory palps which are helping in touching and feeling. So mouth parts are both helping in feeding and acting as a sensory organ. Okay, so we are having mouth parts. Now at the top, we are having a pair of compound eyes, large eyes. That is characteristic of insects. Each compound eye is made up of almost 2000 simple eyes called ommatidia. Okay, just arising from the membranous sockets lying in front of the eye, you have a pair of long filamentar antenna, meaning antenna is long and filament-like and are helping us the tactile organ for touching and feeling surroundings. Cockroaches mainly coming out during night, active during night, nocturnal. And during night, the tentacles are helping them more than the eyes. Okay. Now, thorax has three parts, namely a prothorax, mesothorax, and metathorax. The prothorax is the first segment, which is broad and larger. It is having a forwardly extended part which conceals a small neck, cover a small neck that connects the head with that of the thorax. The second segment is called mesothorax and the third segment is called metathorax. The metathorax and mesothorax bear wings. The wing of the mesothorax is thick, leathery. It is used for covering the flying wings. The mesothoracic wings are called elytron, elytra plural, or tegmina. Tegmina, they are thick, whereas the wings of metathorax are very thin. They are called membranous wings, used for flight. So two pairs of wings, though it is having wings, rarely it will fly because the body is heavy, it cannot make long flights. Okay, so it is usually running, cursorial in nature. Cursorial means which are all escaping by running, which is having the running habit. Okay, now both meso and metathorax are wearing wings, but all the three are having a pair of legs on the ventral side, a pair of legs. So a total of 3 pairs of legs, 6 legs. That is characteristic of insecta. Wings may be present or absent in insects, but 6 legs, 3 pairs of legs, that is characteristic of insecta. Each leg is a multi-jointed, It is made up of numerous pieces. So, joined at appendages. That is why they are called arthropoda. Legs are also sensory in nature and are having special structures by which they can vertically climb up or even walk upside down on the roof. Such special structures are present in the legs. Now, coming to the abdomen. Abdomen is made up of 10 segments. Okay. In both male and female, you are having 10 segments. But in females, the seventh sternum, that is on the ventral side, is broad and boat shaped. Along with the 8th and 9th sternum, it forms a chamber at the posterior part of the abdomen called genital pouch or brood pouch. To this brood pouch, the rectum is opening, reproductive structures are opening. Okay, I will come to that point towards the end of this session. Whereas in males, this genital pouch is formed of 9th and 10th tergum above, 9th and 10th tergum above, and ventrally by the 9th sternum. So there is a difference in the genital pouch structure. In female, 7th, 8th and 9th sternum. You underline please and clearly understand it. It is made up of 7th, 8th and 9th sterna in female. Whereas in male, it is formed by the 9th and 10th terga. Terga means dorsal plate and 9th sternum on the ventral side. Into this opens the anus, the genital structures and gonapophysis. And in the posterior part of the abdomen, you will be having a pair of structures called anal cerci, which is arising from the 10th tergum. 10th tergum. This is a hearing organ, sensory organ, present in both male and female. Whereas in males, arising from the 9th sternum, 9th sternum, you have a pair of small structure called anal style. Okay. Anal style is present only in males. Anal cerci is present in both male and females. Thus, we can distinguish a male from a female. Cockroaches are from month onwards. Sexes become separated. In insecta, sexes are separate. Males and females are there. Male and female reproductive system are present in different individuals. Okay. So, abdomen is bearing no wings, no legs. Is that clear? It is made up of 10 segments. Now, we pass on to the anatomy, internal structures. Alimentary canal and its associated glands constitute the alimentary system. That means you are having organ systems made up of several organs which is concerned with digestion, absorption, etc. That is the main function of this organ system. Alimentary canal is having a foregut, midgut and hindgut. Up to the this part, it is foregut. What are the structures? First, mouth is opening to a buccal cavity, inside which is lying the tongue. It is a chitinous rod-like structure that is representing the hypopharynx or tongue in the mouth parts. there is a hypopharynx which is acting as the tongue. This is acting as the tongue. It is lying within the buccal cavity. Now, this will be leading to a small pharynx. Pharynx will be leading to an esophagus, a tube-like structure that enlarges to form the crop. The food that is eaten will be stored in the crop and it is moistened, softened, and then it is pushed to the gizzard. Gizzard is a small conical structure whose walls are very thick and muscular, inside which you will be having a layer of cuticle forming 6 highly chitinous plate called teeth. 6 teeth are present on the gizzard, with the help of which the gizzard will be grinding the food material. So the grinding mill of cockroach is the gizzard. And pharynx, esophagus, crop and gizzard will represent the foregut. All parts of the foregut are lined by, the entire foregut is lined by cuticle. Now, there will be a ring of small tubes called hepatic or gastric CK at the posterior part, at the junction between the gizzard and the midgut. At the junction between the gizzard. Up to the gizzard, it is foregut. Now, midgut or mesenteron is the only part where there is no cuticular lining. It is digestive, it is glandular and digestive. Okay. And a ring of 6 to 8 finger-like tubules called the hepatic CK or gastric CK is present at the junction, which produces the digestive enzymes. It is like our liver, so it's called hepatic. Hindgut consists of an ileum, colon and a rectum. That rectum is opening to the genital chamber at the posterior end of the abdomen. Ileum is a narrow anterior part, and surrounding that ileum you have 100 to 150 yellow colored thin filamentous structures called Malpighian tubules. These Malpighian tubules are excretory structures, main excretory structures of insects. They open into the ileum. Colon is the wide part from where water is absorbed, and the rectum is the part where undigested materials are stored till they are all sent out. So, ileum, colon, rectum represents the hindgut. Hindgut is also lined by cuticle. So, foregut, midgut and hindgut. Okay. Now, blood vascular system. It is open type. There are no blood vessels. But there is a heart. 13-chambered heart lying above the alimentary canal. So it is dorsal. Just beneath the tergites, you are having a tubular heart made up of 13 chambers. 10 chambers are present in the abdomen and 3 are in the thorax. The first chamber will be extending anteriorly into a small tube called anterior aorta that open into the head sinus. Okay. Blood is colorless. Why? Because blood is having no role in the transportation of gases. It consists of colorless plasma and colorless amoeboid hemocytes, and the blood is called hemolymph. Why? Because it is colorless. It is just like a lymph, it is colorless. It is hemolymph. All organs are remaining bathed in blood because there are no blood vessels. The circulatory system is open type. So, heart of cockroach consists of elongated muscular tube, 13 chambered, lying in the mid-dorsal line of the thorax and abdomen. Each chamber is having a funnel-like opening on the lateral side called lateral ostia, through which blood enter into the chamber. And each chamber contracts one after another from posterior end. So, the blood is flowing in an anterior direction. Blood flows anteriorly. From the posteriormost chamber, it reaches the anteriormost chamber, and from the anterior chamber, it passes through the anterior aorta into the head sinus. And from the head sinus, again it is coming to the cavities, spaces, which are all filled with blood in the body sinuses. So, blood from the sinuses enter into the heart through the lateral ostia, which are present on either side of each chamber. Okay. It is pumped. Remember, in invertebrates, generally, heart is neurogenic in nature, meaning it is the nervous system that controls, that brings about the rhythm of the heart working. In our case, our heart is myogenic. We will study in the succeeding chapters. It is controlled by the muscles of the heart itself, but here it is neurogenic in nature. The respiratory system consists of tracheal system. That is the peculiarity of insects. Blood is having no transporting function of respiratory gases. The respiratory gases are transported to the tissues directly by some branch tubules called the trachea. So, tracheal system. Okay. They get oxygen from atmosphere through 10 pairs of openings present on the lateral side called spiracles. These spiracles are getting oxygen or air from atmosphere that will be leading to the trachea, and the thin branching tubules called tracheal tubes subdivided into tracheoles carry oxygen directly from atmosphere to all parts of the body, to the tissues. Such a system is helping in forward easy availability of oxygen to the body parts, because insects are flying, they require large amount of oxygen, and circulatory system is closed, it is not, circulatory system is open and is not efficient, and since the efficiency of circulatory system is very less, respiratory system is having a mechanism of delivering the oxygen and taking the carbon dioxide from tissue directly. The closing and opening of the spiracles, the opening on the sides, are regulated by the sphincters, circulatory muscles that act as valves. And the exchange of gases take place at the end of the tracheoles, which are all thin-walled by simple diffusion. Excretion is performed by Malpighian tubules. We have studied that Malpighian tubules are hollow tubular structures which are having glandular and ciliated cells on their walls. The waste material from different tissues and organs are released into the blood, and from the blood, these Malpighian tubules will absorb them and convert them into uric acid. So, insects are uricotelic in nature. They send out that nitrogenous waste material mainly in the form of potassium urate. They are all released into the hindgut. What is the advantage? As the waste materials are passing through the colon, water is completely absorbed from them. So, it is in the form of a dry pellet, dry crystals that uric acids are sent out. So, reducing the water loss, preventing the water loss through the excretory structures. That is with the help of the colon. So, colon part help in absorption of complete water. In addition to this malpigment tubules, you also have nephrocytes. These nephrocytes are cells which are all associated with the heart. Fat bodies, they are having urate cells. And in males, there is a mushroom gland. That mushroom gland is having uricose glands. We will be studying them now. Uricose glands. These are acting as additional accessory accessory excretory structures. So what are the accessory excretory structures? Fat bodies, nephrocytes. They are also called pericardial cells. Nephrocytes are also called pericardial cells. And the uricose glands in the mushroom gland will be helping as will be acting as the excretory structures. Okay. Coming to the nervous system, in cockroach, in advanced invertebrates, you are having a typical nervous system consisting of a nerve ring. It consists of a nerve ring. What is that nerve ring? Nerve ring consists of a ring around the alimentary canal. So, for example, this is the alimentary. Mouth leads to the pharynx. Okay. And around that, you are having a nerve ring. That nerve ring is having a pair of ganglia lying over the esophagus. So it's called supraesophageal. Lying below the esophagus, you have a pair of small ganglia forming subesophageal. The supraesophageal acts as the brain, and they are connected to the subesophageal by means of a pair of connectives. Thus, it forms a nerve ring around the anterior part of the alimentary canal called the esophagus. So, there is a nerve ring around esophagus. Now, anything from the subesophageal ganglion, you have a double ventral nerve cord. This double ventral nerve cord is having ganglia, 3 ganglia in the thorax. They are called the thoracic ganglia. And 6 ganglia in the abdomen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 abdominal ganglia. They are lying in segments 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 7. Lying in segment. That is the 6th last segment. Last ganglia of the abdomen is lying in the 7th abdominal segment. From each of these ganglia, nerves are given to all organs of that segment. The 7th is the largest. Okay. Ganglia lying on the 7th abdomen. That is the 6th abdominal ganglia is the largest, from where nerves are supplied to all the posterior segments of the body, segments of the abdomen. So, 3 thoracic and 6. So, total 9 ganglionated nerve cord is present, which is connected to the nerve ring lying at the anterior part. Is that clear? This is the pattern of nervous system in an invertebrate. And insects are having a well-developed nervous system, having a double ventral nerve cord and a nerve ring around the anterior part. Is that clear? Now, it is having sense organs like antenna, eyes, maxillary and labial parts. Even legs are sensory in nature. Each eye will be, I told you, eye will be made up of 2000 hexagonal pieces called ommatidia. Each unit of the compound eye is called ommatidia. And each ommatidia will be making a part of the image. And the final image is formed by keeping all the images close together. Such a image formation is called mosaic. Mosaic vision. And the image formation is called apposition. Mosaic vision is highly adapted for night vision because at night light is very less or absent, and so the vision is more sensitive, having less resolution. And this nocturnal vision is very ideal with mosaic vision, which is ideal for night or nocturnal vision. Apposition image formation is the characteristic feature of such mosaic vision. Now, cockroaches are dioecious, meaning you are having male and female organs in two different ones, and there is small differences by which we can distinguish a male from a female. A female will be having only one pair of structure called anal cerci, which is sensory, hearing, whereas males will be having a pair of structures. These pair of structures are anal cerci, which is hearing, and anal style, which is copulatory in nature. This is the posterior part of the abdomen of a male, whereas a female will be having a broader abdomen with only anal cerci, anal cercus singular, cerci plural, which is hearing organ. Okay. So, males and females can be easily be distinguished. Now, what are the structures? In males, it consists of a sex organ, primary sex organ called testis, which is lying in segments 2 to 6. From the posterior part, arises a very small duct called vas deferens. The two vas are deferential, that is the plural, fused to form a seminal vesicle, a pair of seminal vesicle which are all glandular, that fused to form an ejaculatory duct, single ejaculatory duct that open to the genital chamber. Now, lying on the sixth segment, you are having a characteristic mushroom-shaped gland. Correct name is utricular or utriculate gland. And it is in this mushroom gland, I told you that there are some excretory structures. You have three types of lobules, long tubules on the outer, smaller ones in the middle, and along with that, you have a medium-sized structures which are helping in excretion. Uricose glands, we call it as uricose glands. These mushroom gland produce secretions that will be nourishing the sperm production. Okay. Now, lying on the ventral side and also open to the genital chamber, there is a phallic gland, a single gland called phallic gland. This phallic gland is producing secretion that will convert or that will make sperms into packets of sperms called spermatophore. Spermatophore. That is the function of phallic gland. Now, around the genital chamber, in male, we are having 3 irregular chitinous plates called phallomeres. They represent the external genitalia or gonapophysis. Of these 3, the left phallomere is largest and is having a pseudopenis, helping in the transfer of sperm packets, a titillator, a hook-like structure, etc. And the smallest one is the ventral phallomere, and there is also a right phallomere, 3 irregular chitinous plates called phallomeres. They surround the genital chamber. Remember that the genital chamber in male is made up of or constituted by 9th and 10th tergum and 9th sternum. To that genital chamber, the rectum is always opening out at the top, and the mushroom glands, which are all opening into the seminal vesicle, will be having the gonopore in the middle part. Gonopore is the opening of the gonads, and still lower to that, you have the opening of the phallic gland. So, these are all open to the genital chamber accordingly. Coming to the female, it consists of a pair of ovaries, yellow colored ovaries, elongated structures, lying in segments 2 to 6. Testes lying in segments 4 to 6. Here, ovaries lying in segments, abdominal segments 2 to 6. At the posterior end of which, you have a small oviduct. Each ovary is made up of 8 elongated filament or ovarian tubules. 8 ovarian tubules. The 2 oviducts are fusing to form a common oviduct or vagina that is opening into the female genital chamber. Also open to the female genital chamber is a small spermatheca, which is lying on the 6th segment. It is storing the packets of sperm it receives during mating from a male. Also open to the genital chamber, you have a pair of collateral glands. Collateral glands are producing a viscous secretion that will be forming a packet covering for the fertilized eggs called ootheca. Eggs which are all fertilized are packed and are making a packet. That packet is called ootheca. The wall of the ootheca is produced by the collateral glands. Okay, they are all open to the genital chamber. Usually, mating occur at night when a male and female will be coming and they will be meeting by their posterior abdominal part. And after mating, the male will be going without any care. During mating, he transfers packets of sperm called spermatophores, which are all stored in the spermatheca of the female. Now, female will be laying eggs, and one egg from each of the ovarian tubule will be coming at a time. So 8 from here, 8 from here. And they will be fertilized by the sperm packets. Then they are all covered by the secretions of the collected gland. Thus they are all forming packets of fertilized eggs called ootheca. A female will be producing 9 to 10 ootheca, each containing 14 to 16 eggs. Okay. The female will lay these eggs in crevices, gaps, etc. And she also goes. She never take care of the egg packets thereafter. Okay. The eggs will be developing, and in a couple of weeks or more, sometimes 3 weeks, small cockroach-like larvae will be coming out. They are called the nymphs. The nymphs look very much like the adult. Okay. And development of cockroach is called porometabolism, meaning there is a development through a larva stage, that is a nymph stage. Okay. This nymph will grow and molt for 13 times. Then only slowly it is reaching the adult stage. And nymphs are similar to that of the adult cockroach, except that it is having no wings. Wing pads appear on the 12th molt, and wings appear only on the last molt, 13th molt. Thus it becomes adult. Is that clear? So cockroach is a household pest, acting as a mechanical carrier of so many pathogens. The notorious pest. So with that, we come to the conclusion of the discussion of the chapter, and we will come with another chapter next time. Until then, take care and goodbye from all of us here. Thank you all. Thank you very much.